Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Aral Nagda. I'm a pediatric orthopedic surgeon attached to Jupiter Gate Lab in Bombay and also at SRCC and Children's Hospital. Today we're going to talk about basic understanding of events in normal gait cycle. First question is, what is difference between walking and running? You see animation of walking on the right. When we walk, there are times when one leg is on the ground. There are times when both legs are on the ground. During walking, there is no single time when both legs are off the ground. When we run, on the contrary, there are times when one leg is on the ground, and then there are times when both legs are off the ground. There is no time when both legs are on the ground. So this is the difference between walking and running. When we talk of walking, gait cycle starts when one foot touches the ground. For example, right foot touches the ground, and it will end when the right foot touches the ground again. So this is one gait cycle from foot touching the ground to the foot coming in contact with the ground again. This cycle is divided into two phases, stance phase and swing phase. Stance phase is where the foot is in contact with the ground. Swing phase is when the foot is not in contact with the ground. Stance phase approximately accounts for 60% of the gait cycle. Swing phase accounts for approximately 40% of the gait cycle. Now, in the stance phase, there is a stage in the beginning of the stance phase where the opposite foot is also on the ground. This is the double stance phase. Again, at end of the stance phase, there is an event in which the opposite foot is on the ground. This is also a double stance phase. However, in the middle of the stance phase, the opposite foot is off the ground or is in the swing phase, and this is known as a single leg stance phase. If we look at stance and swing of the two legs, one notices that when the right leg is in the stance, in the beginning of the stance of the right leg, the left leg is also on the ground. At end of stance of the right leg, the left leg is also on the ground. However, in the middle of the stance phase, which is the single leg stance of the right side, the left leg is off the ground or is in swing phase. We have to understand this little more clearly. The stance phase is divided into 5 phases. The beginning of the stance phase is marked by an instance which is known as initial contact. After that is a phase called loading response, which occupies 10% of the stance phase. After that, we have single leg stance phase, which is divided into mid stance and terminal stance. At end of the stance phase, we have double leg stance, which is known as pre-swing. Loading response is responsible for 10% of the gait cycle. Mid stance and terminal stance each contribute to 20% of the gait cycle. The pre-swing contributes to 10% of the gait cycle. The swing phase, which contributes 40% of the gait cycle, is divided into 3 equal parts: initial swing, mid swing, and the terminal swing, each corresponding to roughly around 13% of the gait cycle. Now it's interesting to note that when right leg is on the ground, in the middle, the left leg is going to be off the ground. Similarly, when right leg is in the swing, the left leg is going to be in the single leg stance. So the pre-swing on the right side, this is the phase when the foot is going to go off the ground soon, corresponds to loading response on the left side. Loading response in the phase in which foot has just touched the ground. Similarly, the loading response on the right side, which is the phase where foot has just touched the ground, corresponds to taking off of foot on the left side, which is known as pre-swing. So when one foot lands, the other foot is ready to take off. And loading response on one side will always correspond to pre-swing on the other side. Similarly, in the single leg stance phase, mid stance corresponds to initial swing of the other side and also corresponds to first half of mid swing of the other side. Similarly, terminal stance corresponds to the later half of the mid swing and also corresponds to the terminal swing on the other side. These are the events of the gait cycle, and ankle, knee and hip go through different changes in the angle throughout the gait cycle, and each of these angles is caused by different sets of muscle working on the joints and on the bones. And it's interesting to study this as we go through the events in the gait cycle. So first event in the gait cycle is initial contact. It's important to realize that this is not a phase, but it's a point event. Initial contact takes place when the foot touches the ground. An instantaneous event. The purpose of the event is to initiate loading of the foot or loading of the extremity. Whenever there is initial contact, the hip is in around 30-degree flexion. The knee is in around 5 degrees flexion, and the ankle is in neutral position. So these are the positions of hip, knee and ankle at the initial contact. Because the hip is in 30-degree flexion and from now on it has to go into extension, the muscles which act on the hip are the extensors of the hip, which are mainly gluteus maximus. Hamstring also helps in the hip extension and contributes to it. And hamstring is able to do this because the knee flexion action of the hamstring is stopped by simultaneous contraction of the quadriceps. Ankle tends to go into slight equinus because the ground reaction force is going through the heel, and that causes an external moment to cause the ankle to go into equinus, and this is prevented by eccentric contraction of the tibialis anterior. We come to the next phase, which is loading response. Loading response is responsible for around 10% of the loading response starts when the foot touches the ground. The loading response ends when the opposite foot goes off the ground. So this is the double stance phase. In the loading response, the hip remains in around 30-degree flexion. The knee flexion increases from 5 degrees to 20 degrees. The ankle undergoes around 5 degrees rapid plantar flexion. So these are the movements which are occurring at different joints in loading response. What are the muscles which are acting in loading response? The hip extensors cause the hip to go from flex position into extension, and they generate power for propulsion of the limb and stabilize the limb. At the knee, quadriceps contract eccentrically. This is because the ground reaction force is posterior to the knee joint and causes knee to go into flexion, buckle into flexion. And this is prevented by quadricep contraction. Similarly, The ankle tends to go into plantar flexion, and this is prevented by eccentric contraction of the tibialis anterior. After the loading response, we come to mid stance phase. Mid stance is a phase of stability. Here, hip, knee, and ankle all are in the straight line. You will see from the graphs here that all the angles at hip, knee, and ankle converge towards the neutral axis, which is 0. In the mid stance phase, the hip extends to a position of around 10-degree flexion. The knee comes to full extension. Ankle now actually dorsiflexes to 5 degrees. This is because foot is flat on the ground, and because of the acceleration in the body, the tibia tends to swing forwards into dorsiflexion. What are the muscles which act in the mid-stance phase? Now, at the hip joint, the ground reaction force goes little posterior to the hip joint. Hence, gluteus maximus does not have to act. There is no muscle power required at the hip joint. At the knee joint, there is hardly any activity which is taking place, because the knee extension at this phase takes place not by the action of knee extensors, but by surrogate activity of the soleus, which extends the knee by ankle plantar flexion knee extension coupling. At the level of the ankle, the soleus is the main muscle which is working here. And the function of the soleus is to prevent rolling back of the tibia anteriorly or prevent the ankle into going into dorsiflexion. So soleus acts eccentrically, and in the process, it causes extension of the knee joint and stabilizes the entire limb. So the period of stability here is dependent on one very important muscle, which is soleus, and inadvertent release of soleus while correcting equinus will diminish this activity and make it unstable. Now we come to terminal stance. Terminal stance accounts for almost 20% of the gait cycle. Terminal stance starts when the heel goes off the ground, it is raised off the ground, and the terminal stance ends when the opposite heel touches the ground. In terminal stance, the hip extension increases, and actually hip may hyperextend to almost 10 degrees. The knee goes into full extension or sometimes hyperextension. The ankle in terminal stance now starts plantar flexing, and because the heel is raised off the ground, the fulcrum of the foot shifts from heel to the metatarsophalangeal joint, which extends to almost 30 degrees. What are the muscles which act in the terminal stance? Because here again, the joint reaction force, the ground reaction force, because it goes posterior to the hip joint, we don't need any muscle activity at the hip. At the knee, the flexors of the knee act in eccentric fashion, but here also we hardly require any activity. The hero of terminal stance is gastrocnemius, which contracts eccentrically and generates 50% of the power which is required for propulsion of the limb. So purpose of terminal stance is to begin the propulsion. We now come to the pre-swing, which is a double stance phase. Pre-swing starts when the opposite leg touches the ground, and the pre-swing ends when the toe off occurs on the same limb. So in pre-swing, basically load transfer happens from the weight-bearing limb to the limb which is coming and touching the ground. Purpose of pre-swing is to generate power. So in pre-swing, the hip starts flexing, from full extension to little bit flexion. At the knee, there is rapid flexion to 40 degrees. At the ankle, there is a very quick plantar flexion to 15 to 20 degrees, and which is the power generation. What are the muscles active during pre-swing? In the pre-swing, the hip flexion starts, and adductor longus is the main flexor of the hip, which is working here. At the knee, very little movement takes place. Most of the knee flexion is because of energy conversion. Hardly any muscle activity is required. The main hero of pre-swing again is gastrocnemius, which concentrically contracts and causes the limb to lift and to go into the swing phase. Now we come to the swing phase, which is divided into 3 phases. We start with the initial swing. Now it's important to note down that most of the muscle activity during the swing phase is absent. The swing phase energy depends on the kinetic energy which is given, which is made by energy generated during the stance phase. That is shifted to the swing phase. So in initial swing phase, the hip flexes further, the knee rapidly flexes to 90 degrees, and this gives rise to the peak knee flexion phase of the swing phase. The maximum knee flexion takes place at middle of the mid swing phase. The ankle initially plantar flexes, but then goes into more and more dorsiflexion. The muscles which are active during initial and mid swing include flexor of the hip, which are iliopsoas, and adductor longus, which contract concentrically to cause hip flexion. These muscles also include very little power which takes place in biceps femoris, sartorius and gracilis, which cause little bit of knee flexion. Most of the knee flexion is generated by hip flexion. At the ankle, tibialis anterior contracts concentrically to keep foot into dorsiflexion and to prevent dragging of the foot to allow clearance. So in mid swing, the activities of initial swing continues. The mid swing starts when foot in the swing comes to lie opposite the limb in the stance phase. The mid swing corresponds to mid stance phase of the opposite limb, and mid swing ends when the tibia becomes vertical. So in mid swing, the hip flexion increases to almost 35 degrees. The peak knee flexion is achieved to almost 60 degrees, and ankle now dorsiflexes to neutral position. In the terminal swing, this is a phase which is responsible for around 13% of the gait cycle. In the terminal swing, the hip flexion maximizes to almost 30 degrees. Knee extends completely in this phase in preparation for initial contact. The ankle remains in neutral. Hardly any muscles are active here in the terminal swing. The hero of terminal swing is hamstring. Hamstring acts as extensor of the hip joint in an eccentric fashion, and the job of hamstring here is to decelerate the hip flexion. The hip goes in flexion, it prevents the hip from going into excessive flexion. The hamstring at the same time works at the knee joint, and it controls the extension at the knee, which is brought about by powerful quadricep contraction. At the ankle, tibialis anterior continues to work to maintain the ankle in dorsiflexion as a concentric contraction. So this completes the gait cycle and brings us back to the initial contact when hip is now in flexion around 30 degrees, knee is in around 5-degree flexion, and ankle is in neutral position. This is a summary of what happens in gait cycle. Muscles which are active. Summarize in the heel strike. The ankle is in neutral position or stride flexion. The knee is in 5 to 10 degree flexion. The hip is in 30 degree flexion. In loading response, the ankle is in around 10 degree flexion, knee is in around 15 to 20 degree flexion, and the hip is in around 30 degree flexion. In mid stance, the hip is extended, the knee is extended, and ankle is in neutral position. In terminal stance, the ankle goes into 20 degree plantar flexion. The knee is in slight flexion, but the hip goes into hyperextension. In the pre-swing, hip comes back to neutral position. The knee rapidly flexes to around 40 degrees and ankle goes into rapid plantar flexion. In the initial and mid swing, the hip continues to flex more and more. The knee flexion increases and becomes peak of around 60 degrees in middle of the mid stance phase. The ankle tries to maintain its plantigrade position with help of contraction of tibialis anterior. In the terminal swing phase, the hip flexion maximizes, the knee rapidly goes into extension, and ankle maintains its plantigrade position. So these are basics of events of the gait cycle presented by Dr. Taral Nagda. If you have any questions, please feel free to email to me or ask question on WhatsApp.